Sociological paradigms are some of the fundamental building blocks. It's one of, again, the first things that we start to study in sociology. And a paradigm is a way of examining the world, kind of a knowledge base, a way of making sense of the world. And there's three of them. There's social conflict, structural functionalism, and symbolic interactionism. We're going to go through them one at a time, but want to bring up the idea of macro level and micro level analysis. Macro level analysis is all about looking at large scale patterns. It's about looking at things on an institutional systemic like perspective. It's not just that you're taking a college class. It's looking at the college system in the United States. It's not that you just went out to lunch with your friends. It's looking at the entire service industry. It's not just what you looked at on a social media platform today. It's looking at the impact of social media widely on our life experiences. So high level, significant, large scale analysis of the world around us. Then there's micro level, and that's just the little stuff, right? So looking at small little interactions. Two of the paradigms are macro level, and one of them is micro level, but I wanted to make sure we were clear on what those terms mean. So the first paradigm is social conflict theory, and it's the grumpy paradigm. It's pissed off. And it's all about inequalities and the fact that some people have a whole heck of a lot and everybody else is struggling. So this is a macro level paradigm. We're going to look at society from a large scale. And what it's saying is social conflict is like the way of saying this is how society operates. This is kind of the basis for society. The basis for society, so says social conflict, is that it's about inequalities and the fact that there's scarce resources and that people are fighting over those scarce resources. How do you get what you need? Who has more than enough? How did they get it? Things along those lines. There's an element of power involved in social conflict theory. When social conflict theory, the theorist is Karl Marx, one of the only people usually ever heard of outside of sociology. He developed this in the time of the Industrial Revolution, and what the world was changing, right? We went from an agricultural society into factories and owners and workers and all these types of models. He would call them the bourgeoisie, that would be like the factory owners, and the proletariat was the workers. But like thinking about the control that is involved in somebody being the owner of workers. And that happens in every single industry. That happens in education. That happens in the medical industry. There's, the people that have all the resources and have the power. And then there's the people who work the actual positions that make the institution happen. So again, social conflict, the thing to think about, the thing to ask yourself when you're analyzing from a social conflict perspective is who is fighting over what scarce resources. We don't have enough money. We don't have enough time. We don't have enough like hours to spend attention on things. We don't have enough affordability in our world. We don't have enough. Who is controlling that? That's what social conflict wants us to take a look at. Next is structural functionalism, and that is looking, again, macro level, large scale. And now structural functionalism is a little bit like the can't we all get along kind of paradigm. The idea here is that society is built of all the institutions, a couple that I just mentioned. There's education, the medical institution, the government, the family, could possibly be things like religion. All of these large scale institutions have to be working together to maintain our society. And here's the big part of structural functionalism. If one of those institutions is struggling, all of society is going to be weakened by it. So let's think about our medical institution. When was the last time you went to like an urgent care or even tried to get an appointment with a physician? Or saw the price of any kind of medication for the most part, or had to figure out insurance for yourself or your family, like we might be able to argue that the medical institution is not necessarily strong in providing us all with equal opportunity to strong healthcare. How does that impact society? Significantly. It's going to impact workers because if they can't take care of their health and they don't have access to resources, they're not going to be as strong of workers. It's going to impact the family because families take care of all their family members that are sick or aging. So think about the fact that institutions are going to impact each other. They all need to be strong for society to be strong. Okay, last one, symbolic interactionism. This is the little one. This is micro level. And now we're talking about the way to look at society, the way to analyze society is all through like the little symbols. All the words I'm saying in this lecture are symbols. If you understand them, it's because we both understand the symbol system of the same language. Um, Anything that we look at in any kind of video, anything that we wear, anything that we do, like everything is symbols around us, and we understand the same symbols. Think about words, think about slang, think about insults, think about all of those different aspects of communication. Here's the thing with symbols, they're always changing. I was joking recently. Actually, I get to teach for Santiago Canyon College. I get to teach a lot of times at local high schools in Orange. And I was joking with the students, but it's not really a joke, that I've worried sometimes. What if they, they being like the teenagers of the world or the young adults, like you switch the meaning of an emoji, but all like the 40 some year olds like me don't realize that it means something different? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just sending this innocent smiley face, and you're like, oh, do they know what that means? Because here's the thing, go through some of the emojis. I won't point them out, eggplant. Like that we make double meanings of sometimes. I don't know very many. I probably should go like Google it and make sure I'm up on it. But like thinking through the fact that even something that is like right in front of us, we change the meaning of. So symbols are constantly changing. Okay, structural functionalism, the grumpy paradigm, it always is thinking about who's fighting over what scarce resources. Structural functionalism, everybody gets along, that society is made up of these building blocks of large scale institutions, and we all need these institutions to be strong for society to be in a good place. And then finally, symbolic interactionism, looking at all the symbols around us and how we have shared symbol systems, and the fact that all these symbols, whether it's clothing or music or a million different other things, they're always changing.